So my son and I decided to do a series of conversations um, from the perspective of a father speaking to his son, because one of the things that we know is that there are so many African American boys and young men who grow up without a father figure, and many of them have questions. And so we created this series to answer some of those questions. And so this is my son, Zaire, and my name is Harold. And this is Conversations
with my black son. Conversations with my black son. So this is a series that I figured that excuse the cat in the back. This is a series that me and my father got together and we kind of decided that it would be the best thing because this was no, it's not for you, Kitty. This is a something from my book, Growth of a Young Man, that I had written. And so when I had began to read my own book and finally got a copy of my own book in my hand, I figured, I'm writing all these poems based off of experiences that I've seen from movies and from other African Americans and even people who were, Africans in other countries and stuff like that. I figured, why not just make a series about it? There's a lot of series that black people of us smoking weed and doing this and that, but why not have a conversation with a black son and a black father sitting down having a conversation with each other about certain issues. And so, without further ado,
and for full disclosure, I don't know what questions he's going to ask. So this is, and the cat enters the scene. All right, go ahead, Zay.
Okay, so.
All right.
So, my first question is to you: what do you feel would be the right direction for African American males to gain mental freedom from the world and the society that they are trapped into since they were given birth to?
Mental freedom. That is. So when you look at mental freedom from the perspective of that, all of us are programmed growing up to believe certain things, whether it's from your parents or from society, from school. You are told to believe this. You are taught to believe that. And so you're programmed in our culture as African Americans to believe that you are less than, not good as, because of the history of African Americans in this country. And so to gain freedom is a very challenging thing because, one, your parents have been programmed too. So it can be scary for them for you to be woke because there are systems in place that are really designed to keep folks in check, And so if you are someone that's free and woke, you are viewed almost as a threat to the systems, to the establishment. But I like the direction that a lot of young people are going, and first of all, wanting to be free. Because I think folks my age and older have just accepted the status quo. But young people now are wanting to have the freedom to discover who they really are and to take their rightful place in this society. And I think that it takes educating yourself, not the education that you got in school, but self-education, finding information on your own, doing your own research so that you are programming your mind with the truth, not what was fed to you by your school, even by your parents. Self-education, to me, is the pathway to freedom.
Okay. That makes sense. It is true. My second question is, why do you think African American women suffer from depression from a young age?
I think African American women have a much more challenging role in our society. I think even how African American women are raised versus African American boys. I think with African American girls who are raised by single parents, oftentimes the single parent, who often is a woman, tend to put a lot of pressure and responsibility on the girl growing up versus the young man. Oftentimes mothers tend to cuddle and nurture and sometimes over nurture their sons and not hold them accountable because they feel a sense of regret, feel a sense of guilt that that boy's father isn't around. And so whereas the mother is holding the daughter accountable and giving her all these roles and responsibilities in the household, the young boys often aren't held to that same level of accountability. And then add to that, when you think about how there's like this belief that men are somehow superior to women, like women are. And in our culture, African American culture, we have kind of perpetuated that whole idea. You listen to the music that is played on the radio and how black women are viewed as bitches and hoes and like they are nothing, like they don't have any value. So if they don't have any value, where's their self-esteem? Where's their confidence coming from? So of course, you'd be depressed too if you are in your culture, in your society, you are not viewed as valuable and important.
Right. I also want to add to that real quick. How with the women and stuff like that, and the music and stuff like that, and the culture. Just imagine, though, if you're a black man and you're making this music, especially if you're a gangster rapper. Mm-hmm. Gangster rap has been a problem since the 80s, mm-hmm. since crack cocaine kind of increased, became a thing.
Yeah.
Kind of a way out,
mm-hmm.
right? Just imagine, though, if you're a rapper, you're making this kind of music, would you want somebody calling your mother a bitch and a hoe?
Or your daughter.
You're right. Or calling your
or
daughter
your sister.
Right. Or
yeah.
Father, you know. And so I think it's important as African Americans that we understand these problems and understand the ignorance and the self-destruction that is coming from it, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
And how damaging that disregard, that disrespect is to our entire community. Because if we don't value our women, the broader society isn't going to.
Right. And my third and last question is, do you think that African Americans will ever be unified as a whole for one objective goal?
Unification is really difficult because everybody has their own experiences, their own path. I think we've seen so many leaders try to unify us, from Marcus Garvey to Martin Luther King to Malcolm X, try to unify, but because we all have such unique experiences that I just can't imagine us collectively being unified by one common goal, even though we share a common experience of racism and being the victims of racism in this country. Even that is an area where we're not able to really unify on.
Right.
Yeah. So the cat is all up in the camera, but I think this was a good conversation. You guys, let us know what you think. Be sure to put in the comment section any questions that you would like for us to address. We're going to be doing this series for a minute and hopefully answer your questions, particularly for those single mothers who are raising sons and want to gain some insight in terms of how to best do that. And so that's it.
Thank you.